Hello guys, this is another lecture of transportation problem. In previous lecture we studied the basics of transportation problem. In today's lecture we will study the first rule to find IBFS, that is initial basic feasible solution. So the first rule is northwest corner rule. In this method what we have to do? We have to consider LHS to north and RHS to west. That is, if this is a problem, suppose there is a problem, then consider this north and consider this west, and then find entry to first element of first row and first column, which is minimum, from corresponding demand and supply. Suppose there is demand and here is supply. So first we have to identify this particular element and we have to put the demand and the minimum of these corresponding demand and supply. If demand is minimum, then put here, and if supply is minimum, then put supply, and then if demand is remaining, then move downward, and if supply is remaining, then move to the right hand side, so that to fulfill the corresponding demand and supply, and repeat this process till all demand and supply is not completed, and entry to be end in last to last element of last row and last column. That is, we have to fill the entry in this particular element. That is, either we have to move this pattern or we have to move in this particular pattern. So after that we have to find minimum Z by adding the product of elements and entry. Find IBFS, initial basic feasible solution, by northwest corner rule. So this is a problem where these rows define the market M1, M2 and M3, and the plant and the column define the plant P1, P2, P3, P4, from where the product is going to the market. And here this is supply 6, 10, 12, 15, and this is for the demand of the market, and the entire entry shows the unit cost of the product. So first we have to identify whether total demand is equals to total supply, because we are working on the balanced problem. If it is not a balanced problem, then we have to make it balanced by adding dummy row or dummy column. So 11, 13 and 19, 43, 16, 12, 28 and 15, 43. So this is a balanced problem. So no need to add any dummy row or dummy column. Now we have to apply northwest corner rule on this particular problem. So let this left as north and this right as west. Now we have to identify this first element and we have to put entry from the corresponding demand and supply, which is minimum, on this particular element. That is, the corresponding supply is 6 and the demand is 11. So we have to fulfill this 6 on it. That is, supply is completed, and what is remaining? The remaining of this part, the demand of this particular market is remaining, which is equals to 5. So we have to move to the right hand side. That is, we have to move to the next element. That is 14. At this particular, the supply is 10 and the demand is 5. So what we have to fulfill? We have to fulfill the minimum value. The minimum value is 5. So fulfill it. That is, demand is completed, but the supply for this particular plant is remaining. So we move downward for this particular plant so that we can fulfill all the supply. So moving on to the 16. Now we have to identify which is minimum. The supply is 5 and the demand is 13. So we have to fulfill this minimum 5 on 8 element. That is, this is 8 remaining. So move to the next element, that is on 12. The supply is 12 and the demand is 8. So we have to fulfill this 8. What is remaining? 4 is remaining. So move downward. On this particular element, we have to fulfill this 4 and this 15 is remaining. Now moving to the next element, 15 is the supply and 15 is the demand. So enter all the elements. So all the corresponding demand and supply is fulfilled. So the process is completed. Now what is x11? The x11 is 6 entries. X12 is equals to 5. X22 is also 5. X23 is 8. X33 is 4. And x34 is 15. The total transportation cost is equals to 6 into 19 plus 5 into 14 plus 5 into 16 plus 8 into 12 plus 4 into 16 plus 15 into 39, which is equals to 1009. So this is the complete solution for this particular method. This is the initial basic feasible solution. Hope you understand the content of this lecture. If you like this lecture, then like and subscribe my channel. Thank you.